Hey everyone, we're going to be giving a presentation on Instacart today and the problems that they are currently facing. So the main objectives of this presentation is to explain the problems that Instacart is currently facing, compare those problems to those problems that their competitors are facing, such as Fresh Direct, and suggest possible solutions for those problems, drawing on the organizational behavioral literature that we've gone through this semester. So basic outline of the presentation, we're going to give a brief overview of Instacart, essentially what Instacart is, what they do, how they were founded, their organizational structure. Then we'll go into the problem, discuss some other companies and their strategies with dealing with similar problems, go through 3 different recommendations on possible solutions for the problem, and finally end with a conclusion wrapping up our presentation. So now we're going to go through a brief overview of Instacart. Instacart is a grocery delivery service that allows customers to order groceries from the comfort of their own home and have them delivered. It has become increasingly popular over recent months as a product of the COVID-19 pandemic that our world is currently mired in. The large influx of business that the company has seen over recent months has also fueled or exacerbated many of the problems that will be discussed throughout this presentation, as well as made Instacart a greater part of many of our daily lives. So some basics about the company. Instacart was founded in 2012 in San Francisco, California, where it is currently headquartered. The current CEO of Instacart is Apurva Mehta, and Instacart utilizes a mix of native apps on both iOS and Android, and their website to allow for customers to order groceries to either pick up in store or have delivered, depending on what they would like to do. Instacart's organizational structure is a matrix structure with regional divisions and a separate corporate hierarchy. It uses both functional and divisional structures, with many in-store workers reporting to multiple managers who then report to managers above them. And there's 2 different types of main employees of Instacart at the store level, and those are drivers and shoppers. The drivers are those who actually do the deliveries themselves and are typically contract workers rather than full or part-time employees, while the shoppers go through the store and pick out the orders for people that have placed them either through the native apps or website and are usually full or part-time employees receiving benefits as such.
So the key problem with Instacart is really the distrust of the shopper quality. A lot of the consumers who especially haven't used the service yet worry about the product quality that they'll be receiving. They worry that even though it's a premium service they're paying for, that the shoppers won't be picking the same quality that the consumer themselves would pick. They also worry about the delivery being made on time or being ready for them to pick it up at the store. And they've certainly heard rumors of poor customer service. And although Instacart is intending to relieve stress and save time for the consumer, these different things lead to a lot of perceived unreliability, which reduces the incentive for people to especially try the service and especially come back. So this then leads to a lot of perceived unreliability, as I mentioned. I have a testimony here from the blogger Eric Neisel, who said, so who is to say that when I place an order, the person who does the picking will have any knowledge about shopping other than what food is what? And he said this sort of after talking about how his mom taught him how to shop and how he looks at all the dates on the food and knows how to pick his meat and produce especially. And he said he couldn't find any real information on the training of the Instacart workers, and only found really rumors about some in-person training and the qualification that they have to lift a certain amount. So there's really a concern about the quality of the product that people are getting. And it's unfortunately not just a misperception. Anybody who has actually tried the service has seen that it isn't a premium service as much as they hope to be. Looking at the Better Business Bureau, Trustpilot, and SiteJabber, they had Instacart had a 1-star rating, which is about as low as you can go. And a lot of people said they would have liked to go lower than that. And really the main issues came down to what we were discussing here with the quality of the shoppers and the quality of the food. So just a couple examples here. Alice H said, customer service is a joke. I've had so many people shop for me that clearly have never been grocery shopping before. It takes them 2 hours to buy 10 items. So there you go with poor timing and spending too much time shopping, but not enough time paying attention to the actual quality of their products. And additionally, somebody ordered groceries here at NM, and they were delivered and they were disgusting. And she says the lady didn't seem like she ever wanted to work. So really poor customer service here again. And the current strategies that Instacart has in place to deal with these are not being effective. In terms of training, they have online video guides for all their shoppers and in-person shopping or in-person training only for their in-store shoppers. So anybody who's a full service shopper really only has to watch those video guides, and it's pretty optional with just like a super simple quiz at the end. And then for payment for in-store shoppers, they're paid at an hourly wage. So doing more orders doesn't get them any more money, but full service shoppers who deliver it and pick the groceries can get tips, and they also get paid by the order. For both shoppers, then there's a timer that you have to do about like 120 seconds per item, and everybody has to stick to that. Really prevention focused here instead of promotion. Shoppers are also pressured to avoid refunding since that costs the store and Instacart money. And there's a 3-message minimum in terms of customer service. That's really the basic level of service that shoppers have to provide is just a basic greeting, a first replacement message, and then a goodbye. And so all these policies are evidently lacking and even might worsen the issue.
So when looking at the problems Instacart has and how they could be potentially solved, it is essential to look at the organizations that are similar and how they function. Specifically, when looking at the food delivery services, there are abundance of services and companies that provide competition for Instacart and can also provide different methods that Instacart could possibly learn from. Starting with a company that is quite similar, there is Fresh Direct, which is a company that delivers groceries and meals. They have many different locations along the East Coast that they operate out of, which is different than Instacart, which operates out of a regular grocery store. The way it works is fairly simple. You can scroll through Fresh Direct's website and pick the products you would like. Next, you pick a time that you would like it to be delivered, and it can even be delivered in the same day, and then it'll be delivered to your front door. Similar to Instacart, the main concern people had when they had with their grocery shopping being done by someone else is the fact that they cannot see what the products look like, if they are ripe, or even if they are expired or not. However, a quick trip to Fresh Direct's website can ease these concerns, as they have a whole section detailing their food safety protocols. They've created a food safety and quality assurance department that has representatives at the Fresh Direct site 24/7 so they can monitor how the food is being handled. They look over all the food that is being brought in and inspect it on a risk-based analysis. They are strict with their employees and make sure all the FDA regulations are being followed. This all seems to be paying off as they have an abundance of positive reviews. Sally Kaplan, a writer for Business Insider, recently did a piece on her experience with Fresh Direct. She originally had concerns about the quality of the food she would receive, however claimed Fresh Direct's produce is on average excellent. This seems to be one of the flaws of Instacart that Fresh Direct has been able to somewhat manage. Additionally, Fresh Direct claims to facilitate a strong culture in their organization through on-site training, team building, and employee recognition. This all encourages their employees to work harder and makes them more engaged. The second company I will cover shortly is Freshly. They differ from Instacart as they prepare meals and deliver them. However, I still think it could be important to focus on. Freshly has recently become very popular and was rated the top food delivery service by SiteJabber, based on thousands of reviews the site took into account. They also have replied to 100% of all negative reviews on the site Trustpilot, which only helps boost their transparency for their customers and employees. This is a possible method Instacart could look into as a way to deal with the many negative reviews they get. Additionally, they are also rated 4.6 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot, the highest score I've seen any food delivery service get. Freshly also has a customer service representatives available at all times to answer any questions and complaints, which strengthens their relationships with their customers and employees. These two companies may be different from Instacart, however, have shown to be more successful in mitigating the problems Instacart has not been able to.
With so many Instacart's customer concerns regarding quality of its shoppers due to reserving poor quality products as well as poor customer service, our first recommendation is to improve motivation. I will first talk about the extrinsic motivation that we can improve on. From the very start, the managers do not offer satisfactory extrinsic motivation. As Joe had mentioned, Instacart's policy is that in-store shoppers are paid hourly, but with no tips. And for full service shoppers, they are paid by the order and they can allow tips. In order to apply the equity theory, when the in-store shoppers weigh their job inputs, as you can see from the graph on the left, the time and effort spent on the shopping and selecting of the exact product versus the outcomes that they get, which is the low pay in relation to the other employees of like the full service shoppers, they perceive that there is an imbalance. So they think they are receiving an extrinsically unfair treatment. And this explains why they become demotivated to work so that they do not spend so much time actually shopping and paying attention to the product quality. So our solution to extrinsically motivate the employees is to simply, 1, increase the hourly wage, or 2, offer a performance recognition program, such as a merit-based pay plan. There's many benefits in using a merit-based pay plan, and for Instacart, we can encourage its employees by directly linking their individual effort and ambition to a material reward. This way, shoppers are recognized for their contributions and perceive a fair balance between the inputs and outputs. In the next slide, we talk about how Instacart needs to cultivate its intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the psychological rewards of positive feelings that come from performing tasks such as enjoyment and sense of accomplishment. There are many benefits to using a intrinsic motivation to motivate the employees, such as enhancing employee motivation and satisfaction. It can be sustained in the long term compared to the extrinsic motivation, as we had talked about in the last slide. We have redesigned the job characteristics model for Instacart to improve intrinsic motivation. Number 1, for skill variety, since Instacart is a very simple structure in that it doesn't allow for many skill set besides picking, packing, and delivering the order, there isn't much variation that a shopper can do to increase the motivation. Likewise, a shopper has a high task identity since one is able to complete the whole process from picking to delivering the produce. Third, however, management can emphasize the importance of task significance. By focusing like the positive impact of their service, the shopper can be motivated to do very well and experience meaningfulness in his job. They do need to like believe that what they are doing actually helps both the organization and even the community that they shop for, especially during COVID, knowing that they have the capacity to like have an impact on people who are not able to shop for themselves will motivate them further to do better. And this way they can take time on choosing quality products and selecting fresher produce. Likewise, for number 4, Instacart can increase an employee's sense of autonomy since this is actually where most problems lie. The current policy of Instacart is that you cannot decline any of the certain like order gigs, so that shoppers have lowered motivation since they have no freedom in choosing what type of work they want to do and determining what type of procedures they can be used. And if the shopper do wait it out sometimes, they might have to do the whole job over again since it like adds up in their queue. So a potential solution is to incorporate an option on the app to reject certain gigs, and this way it will decrease the negative impact of Instacart's micromanagement. Lastly, both positive and negative feedback can motivate an employee as it shows how effectively they are currently performing. Right now, Instacart has a star rating system as well as a comment section in terms of feedback, but not a lot of people actually write on the comment section. So if Instacart can add a survey feature such as, how did we do today? Or did the shopper find everything you were looking for? Then this can probably prompt more engagement and receive feedback. And through this whole redesigning of the job characteristics model, an employee can achieve internal rewards and feel intrinsically motivated. And a byproduct is that shoppers can switch from being prevention focused, such as being driven by the safety performance, when they are required to pack 120 seconds per items to a promotion focus, which they can seek positive outcomes with a focus on advancement and accomplishments.
Our second recommendation for the organization was fairness and justice. Distributive justice is the perceptions of the employees regarding the fairness of certain outcomes. One of the problems with Instacart is that there's a great deal of variability in pay for someone doing the same job. For example, drivers make a large portion of money from the tips that they receive from customers. As a result, people are making different amounts of money based upon the consumer they're delivering to and how will they treat its customer. At the current moment, as you can see in the picture above, Instacart has a tip options of none, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, and other. One possible solution to the variability pay is to remove the 5% option so that consumers are more likely to pay 10% or decreasing the variability and allowing for more fairness in wages. For example, some employees of Instacart earn less than $30 for 5 hours of work, which is less than minimum wage, while another driver boasted earning $2,000 over a week. Procedural justice is the fairness of certain processes that lead to different outcomes. After looking at some reviews online of Instacart, it became apparent that there were some issues in regards to the proper delivery of groceries and the correct items being delivered. The current process in place is not fair to the customers who oftentimes may not receive the correct items that they ordered. As a result, Instacart should implement a two-party authentication upon delivery of the groceries. First, the consumer will order the groceries and pay directly to Instacart. The money will not yet go to the employee, but rather will stay in transit. The employee will then collect the groceries, paying with their own money, and upon completing the delivery to the customer, will confirm through Instacart that the delivery is successful. Additionally, the consumer will confirm that they have received all the items that they have requested. Once both parties have completed this process, the employee will be reimbursed. This will ensure that both parties are protected in the event that the groceries are not delivered. This also is important for part-time employees of Instacart, as it will ensure that they're not stealing from customers. One of the most important aspects of an organization is communication. Without communication, companies will run into a great deal of issues. Interactional justice is the sensitivity with which employees are treated fairly and how they feel respected. Within Instacart, it was clear that there was minimal interaction with the other employees as well as their supervisors. This made it challenging not only to ask for help on certain issues, but more so difficult to illustrate any things that an employee believed could help the company or things that were hurting the company. It would be beneficial to the company if there were weekly meetings, either in person or on Zoom, to go over expectations, progress, and potential changes within the company. If this were to occur, employees would feel more connected to Instacart as they would feel respected because they would have the ability to influence change. Although there may not be much influence, it would mean that their ideas would be heard and hence more respect and fairness felt throughout the company.
Our third recommendation is regarding a lack of workplace culture at Instacart. So Instacart struggles to implement workplace culture due to its business model. It's made up of mostly part-time employees, so establishing a real workplace culture is challenging. One thing Instacart could do is to implement another set of orientation for their employees, and this would include establishing the values and core standards of the company. This would just right off the bat in the training for employees would ensure that they know that the company is a customer first based model. And another thing that Instacart employees lack is motivation, as touched on earlier in the presentation. So another thing that Instacart could do to implement a more positive culture creation as culture in the workplace, as mentioned earlier, would be to implement a leaderboard that employees can look at regarding their customer ratings. And this starts all off with the leadership and managers, as both espoused and enacted values do. They come from the top. So to wrap up, Instacart has great business potential, as shown by its great demand, even though there are many problems with it. Instacart needs to address these problems in order to continue growing as a company. And we believe that the ways that we mentioned throughout this presentation will help Instacart grow into the future to be an even more successful company. Thank you.